Hey everybody, and welcome to Q&A Wednesday, where I answer the questions that you have about your health and fitness goals. I know the lighting's a little weird. I'm just trying different spots in my house. I do have a ring light, but it is what it is. So really quickly, just want to tell everybody that was at the NPC Idaho Cup this last weekend. Thank you so much for all of your help, and you guys are amazing. We had a great time, came home with some hardware. It was awesome. There was like 600 competitors. We had a great time, and so happy that it was just something normal held for the year. So today I have a really great topic. It's kind of broad, but I find it really fascinating when people tell me, I just don't feel good. We've probably been all been at that point at some point in our lives, but I want to talk about some things that you can check to see if maybe that might be something that is causing some issues for you. I'm just noticing my shelf is like this is like the Zoom station for the kids for school. Lordy, I'm ready for things to be back to half normal. Anyway, so we're gonna talk really quickly about kind of a checklist that you can go through if you're really struggling, you just don't feel good, some things that you can check to see if maybe that might be an issue that you have. And just really quickly, if you ever want to go back and see all the Q&A Wednesdays I've ever done, you can go to my YouTube channel. It is Fillmore Fitness. Every Facebook Live I've ever done is then uploaded there when I'm finished. So a great place to get some free education. And of course, if you have any great ideas, if you have a question you would like answered, please let me know. I get my best ideas from you guys, and I want to make sure that I'm answering the questions that you have. So maybe that's better. Maybe I just got to get a little closer. I don't know. So it just gets so dark so early these days. I really enjoy doing these outside, but of course the weather isn't going to allow for that at this point. So it's just cold. It's because it's November. All right. So let's talk about why you might not feel good. Now, some people can kind of figure it out. Maybe you've done something a little bit different in your life that day or that week, or, honestly, with such a weird year, I know we're all feeling a little weird at this point, but there are some things that you can double check to see if you might be having some issues. I know sometimes we even go to the doctor and even they can't always figure it out. They ask questions, and sometimes they just chalk it up to some really weird things. Here's the deal, ladies, if you ever are just not feeling quite right, maybe you're not feeling hormonal, and you go to the doctor and they tell you it's all in your head, pick a different doctor. No offense. At this point, I make sure that my doctors have a uterus. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I want to make sure they understand where I'm coming from. And no offense, guys, it's just really hard for male doctors to understand that. So really quickly, let's talk about why you might not be feeling well. I think the first thing you really need to check into, and these are actually kind of a checklist I go through with my clients when they're struggling to see results, they're just not feeling quite right, not enough energy. This is kind of a checklist I go through. I ask lots of questions because, of course, I don't necessarily know what their lifestyle is like. And the first one that I always ask is, how much sleep are you getting? And that is I think people really underrate what sleep does for you. It is immense. As a matter of fact, I've actually told people more than once that sleep trumps exercise. If you are not getting enough sleep, there's literally no benefit to the exercise, because if you're trying to grow muscle, your body does that while you sleep. You break it down when you lift, it actually builds and recovers when you sleep. And so if you are not getting enough sleep, it really hinders your body's efficiency and progress in pretty much everything. So the first thing is, really, you've got to be getting 6 to 8 hours. 6 is probably bordering not enough. And I've actually spent enough time in my life where I really struggled to get even 5.5 hours. And I saw what a drastic issue that was and how my body was responding, that I know that is, honestly, it's super, super important. And if you are struggling to get to sleep, get enough sleep, there are some things that you can do. As a matter of fact, again, I've done a topic on this one before. Go to my YouTube channel and look for, ways to try and get enough sleep. Okay, so that is the first thing that you should check. If you're not getting enough sleep, that is a really good one to start with. If you are a shift worker, if you tend to, if you're working at night and you're trying to sleep during the day, that's a tough one. Our bodies follow the circadian rhythm, which is awake when it's light, dark, sleep when it's dark. So if you are working a job that really kind of bucks that circadian rhythm, it's going to be rough. You're going to have to really delve into some extra things to make sure that you're getting enough sleep and enough rest, and that your body's responding in the right way. It's really a tough one, but I'm very aware that it's necessary. There's doctors and nurses and firemen, and they have to work the night shift. So that is an issue. So number one is make sure you're getting enough sleep. Number two, you want to make sure that you are fueling your body with good healthy food. You know, if you've ever had like really crappy gas that you've put in your car and your car didn't quite run the way it should, and it kind of like sputtered, and you know, you kind of knew, wow, that gas must be have something wrong with it. Your body's the same way. So if you are not fueling your body efficiently, if you're not giving it the right kind of food, and I'm going to touch on this topic again in a minute, of course you don't feel good. I've noticed that even if I try. And again, there's some different things. I know some of us are into intermittent fasting, but I've noticed that if I don't follow my normal schedule, I can tell my body kind of not throws a fit, but it definitely lets me know that I need fuel. So that is something to think about. You know, it really does affect everything, from being able to think efficiently. You know, if you've ever kind of been in a foggy state and realized, oh wow, I just didn't eat breakfast this morning, it's really affecting how my body functions. That can be part of it. Now, by crappy fuel, of course, you know, we're talking about processed food. Yeah, like there's just no way around it. Like if you are consistently eating processed, boxed, shelf stable, fast food, and you're feeling kind of crummy a lot, that's probably your answer right there, because food, those type of foods, anything that's chemical laden, has a lot of additives, preservatives. Your body doesn't know what to do with that stuff. Your body wasn't designed to break that down. So of course, what does it do? Shoves a lot of it in fat stores and you just run sluggish. That's kind of how that rolls. So again, when you're not eating right, you're eating a lot of, and I would say that would be the majority of our country these days. Nobody knows how to cook, which I find super fascinating. And I'm not the best cook. I'm not kidding. I'm not the best cook. I try hard, but I at least cook enough that I can make what I need so that I can, you know, feel good and make sure I'm getting the right nutrition. All right, number 3. Just an extension of that, you might not be feeling well because you're missing out on key ingredients. And if you look back through the history of nutrition, just in general, because I know that there's still a lot of misinformation out there, which I find fascinating, but you know, they had a problem when people weren't getting enough vitamin C, that they had scurvy. So again, you know, your body responds by not working efficiently when you're not getting the right amount of vitamins and minerals that you're supposed to have. And I probably would say that is a huge issue these days, that a lot of us are malnutritioned. And I think people kind of argue with me, but you know, if you are overweight or obese, you are malnutritioned. And people say, well, how can that be? Because if they're storing body fat, they're eating too much. They're eating too much of the wrong thing. Your body does not survive just on calories. It needs minerals, vitamins, and nutrients in order to function. And by eating a lot of processed calories that they call empty calories, you're not getting what you need. And of course, your body's not going to run well if it's not getting what it needs. As a matter of fact, even recently on one of my Q&A Wednesdays, I talked about how there is a connection between mental health issues and malnutrition. So again, if you're just not getting what you need, that can be a huge problem. You know, if you're just not getting the nutrients to make the enzymes, the chemicals, the hormones that you need, of course you don't feel good because your body can't. So keep that in mind. All right, number 4. This is a big one right now, especially, you know, we're trying to come out of this whole, you know, quarantine thing. Not even going to approach that topic, but a lot of us are just kind of dealing with some mental health issues. And so one of the things that it's part of my normal questionnaire for my new clients is, what are you doing for your head? What are you doing for your mental and emotional health? I find it really fascinating that in Western medicine, we don't even approach the fact that the body is a whole, right? It's not just the physical that is part of our health, it's the mental, emotional, and spiritual, which, don't worry, doesn't have to be religious, but just your spirit, your peace, your person, your consciousness really needs to make sure that it's doing something to combat all this negativity and the difficulties that we're dealing with. And if you're a mom, you know, you need to take some time for yourself. That is so important. I know that we get really wrapped up in taking care of everybody, and that's just kind of how the role is, but you cannot help other people if you cannot function. So again, that is super, super important. So if you're not doing something for your mental and emotional health, that could be why you don't feel well. Number 5, you are sedentary. And I'm not saying you are, but if you are sedentary, I know a lot of people went through months of just Netflix and chill and doing Uber Eats. That's a problem. Your body was not designed to hold still. As a matter of fact, your lymph system, which is part of your immune system, does not have a pump. So in order for it to work, you have to move, right? And I'm not even necessarily saying exercise, although you know what I think about that. Obviously, that just benefits you even more. But just by moving, you know, if you sit a lot and you don't move, your body needs that movement for more than one reason. So that could be a huge part of it. Number 6, environmental toxins. it doesn't get talked about enough, but if you've ever lived in a building that had toxic mold, if you, I've known some really great people that have worked in an industry where they had situations with toxic metals in their environment, and then had some significant issues from dealing with that. So really take into account, like, where do you live? What is the air like? Do you have a lot of pollution? What's your job like? What kind of environment are you on a regular basis? Also realize things like, plastics and things have chemicals, xenoestrogens, which disrupt your actual hormone receptors. So it can be more than just what you eat. You can do everything right nutritionally and still have some issues there and feel super crummy. So again, part of it's just take a look at what you're around, what you're doing, kind of checklist. Is any of these things, am I involved in any of this that I might be able to change that might make a huge difference? And then just see how you feel. That is a big part of it. So my biggest tip is just start with the basics. Start with, am I drinking enough water? Am I eating the right kind of food? Am I drinking too much alcohol? Right? I mean, that one should be kind of a no-brainer, but what am I doing? What can I change? Just basically, and change one thing at a time, see if it makes a difference. Obviously, the more you do, it's going to have an effect together. They're going to play well together, but if you just start with those basics, start changing one thing at a time. It's too difficult to change everything at once for the majority of us. So if you change one thing at a time, then you can see what's working and if you feel any better from that. So anyway, hopefully that helps. Obviously there's more to it. Things like, over time, is your digestive system off? Do you have leaky gut syndrome? There can be more to it, but I'm just starting with some basics that you can kind of go through, do a checklist, see if those are something that affect you, and then maybe go to the right professional to be tested and see if that, you might need to do something extra, take some extra supplements, pay attention more. So hopefully that helps. Well, have an incredible week, you guys. This weekend, there will be Meals with Melissa. I have some butternut squash I need to do something with. So I'm hoping that I can come up with something great and healthy with that. But it will be there on Saturday. So have an incredible week, you guys. And until next week, that is Q&A Wednesday. Have a good night.